and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my June book haul. I am recording this a little bit early, but it's still going to come out around the same time because I'm about to go to a convention in Chattanooga, which is LibertyCon, and I'll have already gone by the time this video airs. And I just wanted to go ahead and do my videos to get ahead, and also because I actually have been sent quite a lot of books this month. And so I'll explain when I get to that part of it. I have 21 books that I have on my book haul this month. That's actually pretty average for where my book hauls have been. They've been between, I've been buying between or receiving between like 18 and 22, and so 21 books is right in the middle. It was much lower, and then right at the last minute, I had a bunch of books come in. So I'll explain. I have 7 that I purchased and 14 that I was sent. So let's start with the ones I purchased. I purchased a Star Trek book titled Star Trek: The Lost Era, The Well of Souls. This is part of the Lost Era series. I purchased this because we are going to be reading this on Literary Treks. And by the time this video comes out, the episode will most likely already be out. So just look up Literary Treks, and it'll be the most recent episode. And I'll be talking about this with Matthew and Casey over there. And we love talking about the Lost Era and all the Star Trek books. So that's quite a lot of fun. I also picked up another Ben Bova book, Far Side. I've been reading through his books, his Grand Tour universe specifically, the Mars trilogy. Loved most of it. I really enjoyed Jupiter as well, and so he has a solid batting record for me. So I picked up Far Side to read it, and after reading Jupiter, I think I know what Far Side is actually about, and that's really interesting to me. So I have another one of those. I also purchased a Tom Kratman Baen novel titled A State of Disobedience. It is branded as science fiction. It really, from the write-up and from what I've heard people talk about it, it actually looks more like just a political thriller, an alternate history political thriller type thing, and it's a very much a lightning rod discussion of a book, because some people really love it and some people really hate it and do not like the premise at all. I'm very fascinated by it. I have there's a ton of Tom Kratman books at my local bookstore, and I want to get into reading his books because he seems interesting, but his books at the bookstore are part of these long series that not only are there a lot of entries in the series, but also they're thick books, like 800-900 pages. So I decided, I'll pick up this standalone from him, and this is only like 400 pages, so it's a much more reasonable starting point, and I'll see how I like his writing style. So that is A State of Disobedience. I also, this one, I go to some of my used bookstores and I try to buy books that are like $2 or $3. Occasionally I'll buy a used book that's a little bit more, and this is an example of I paid a little bit more. I have been reading John Gwynn's Faithful and the Fallen. I finished the last book last year, and I really loved it to the point that I moved it up to my top 10 fantasy series. And I want to read more John Gwynn, and everyone tells me I should read his Bloodsworn saga. And so I picked up the first book at my used bookstore. It's in pretty good condition, and I was able to buy it for about $10, which is about half the new price. And so I thought that was reasonable, and I was helping out my local used bookstore. And I mean, this is a gorgeous cover. And look at the wraparound on that. People say Trad Publishing isn't doing good covers. Well, this is from Orbit, a Trad Pub. Oh no, my books are falling. Anyway, this is from Orbit, and it's a Trad Pub, and it's a great cover. So I am very, no, that's not going to work. Put that back. Anyway, I'm very excited to read this book. And the third book in the trilogy comes out, I think, either at the end of this year or early next year. I think it's the end of this year. So maybe I'll catch up and read this whole trilogy soon. I also bought a new book. And this was not one that had been on my, oh my goodness, in the words of Brian Lee Durfee, I will edit all of this out. This next book, I'll fix this while I'm talking about it, was not on my TBR originally. I only got it because there was such good word of mouth, and also I was having a little bit of FOMO about the book. So that is The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. Again, People say TradPub isn't turning in good covers. Look at that cover. I love that cover. Let me actually look to see who did the cover. Jeff Brown. Oh, that's right. Jeff Brown does some terrific covers. I've seen some of his other covers. He does a terrific job. I mean, that is how you. This evokes Boromir standing at the top of Osgiliath, shouting "For Gondor" in the Two Towers Extended Edition. Really, really love that cover. And so I've heard good things about the book, and I haven't started many new series outside of maybe some Bane series recently, and I want to start some new, like published in the 2020s series, so that I have. I'm keeping up with the publishing, and so this is one I purchased, and I actually plan to read this in July, so I should have a review soon, I hope, if I can get to it in time. I also purchased a book by a friend of mine, Morgan Shank, titled Die Young, the first book in his Runeborn trilogy. You may have recognized the name Morgan Shank if you're a longtime member or follower of the channel. Morgan wrote the Low Country trilogy, which I read the whole trilogy last year and this year. It's a terrific trilogy, some of my favorite self-published books. And I think Morgan's a terrific author and should get a lot more attention. And he just wrote this beast of a book, which for him, his last books were like 250 pages long. This one is 500 pages long, so it's quite long. It's the first in a new trilogy, and it's for another example of gorgeous cover art on this one. This being a self-pub book, but I'm really excited to get to this. If this anything like the last trilogy, Morgan's gonna hit it out of the park, because the last trilogy were all like 5 out of 5 stars for me. The last book that I bought last this month of June is a very stark departure for me. So I've been trying to branch out into new genres. I've been trying to read middle grade more. I've been trying to read young adult more. I'm trying to read like the paranormal stuff with Twilight, and like the young adult thrillers, dystopian stuff like Hunger Games and the Divergent series. And so I've been trying to branch into new things. And one genre that I've never read truly is romantasy. And of course, I mentioned this online, and some people said Twilight, and I'm like, that's more paranormal than fantasy romance. So I wanted to read a straight up romantasy. So that's part of what my thinking was. The other part of my thinking was that I've been following this YouTube channel. It's Mads Rafferty, who is actually and she's an author of romantasy, and she is like a book reader, but she more is in line with like Book Talk, and so the types of videos she produces is more like stuff you'd see on Book Talk. And she's always promoting her book, kind of like Brian Lee Durfee's always promoting his book. And I've been watching her videos for a while now, and I was like, you know what? I want to buy her book and see how it goes. So I bought a romantasy titled Heir of Broken Fate. And this is the first in I don't know if it's a trilogy or just an ongoing series, but it's the first book, and it's actually done quite well in sales despite being a self-pub. And actually, I think this is a well-produced cover. I think the inside, I looked at it already, well-produced all around. So I'm interested in reading this book. I don't know when. It might not even be till like November or December at earliest that I get to this book, but I'm very interested in reading it, which is why I purchased it. All right, that's all the books I purchased. Now for the books that I was sent by publishers or by authors. And let me tell you, I have a lot here. Actually, I'll first talk to you about 2 books that an author sent me. And that is Z.S. Diamante. I hope I'm saying that correctly. His first novel, Stone and Sky, which is it's either self-pub or indie pub. It says Golden Griffin on here. I don't know if that's the author's imprint, like his own publishing house that he's starting, or if that's an actual publisher that he's joining. Whatever the case, this is indie pub at least. And he also sent me a short story collection, the Stone and Sky Preludes collection, which again, great covers here. The cover artist is Katrina Strokach. Anyway, great job on the covers. And I have to tell you, this is the first time I've gotten like an unboxing that was like, I wish I had videoed it, because it was an immaculate Boxing Job by Diamante and his team. And I was sent, those sometimes if you'll see booktubers that do regular unboxings, you'll see the box that is really professional. And when they open it, it's usually a black box. When they open it, there's this froofy stuff that comes out. This had the froofy stuff in there. It was yellow. And then it had like stickers, and it had like bookmark type stuff, and it had a signature authentication, and it had all these really cool things that go above and beyond just sending someone a book. And so I was very impressed with Diamante's work that he and his team put into sending these books to me. So I intend to read this eventually. I have some other self-pubs on the list. This might make it on the list by the end of the year. Just depends on how my reading schedule goes. But I'm very interested in reading this. And what I'm hoping is that I'll get this around maybe November, and then do the Preludes in December, because it'll be a nice short read in December. I like to do a lot of short books in December to race to the finish line. All right, next I have. By the way, I like that it has the number 1 and then it has 0 on it. That's really clever. I was sent 12 books by Baen Books this month, and you might think that's really odd. Normally they do about 4 to 6. Yes. However, most of the people working at Baen are going to be at the convention LibertyCon this month, and that will happen right when they would normally be sending out the books. So what my guess is that Baen decided to send July's books early, so I have both June and July's books on here of their publishing line. So I'm going to go through first the June books that they sent me, then the July titles. And I'm actually kind of glad that they did it this way, because I can take some of these to get signed at the convention, but also this means that I won't be sent any from them in July, most likely, and I can therefore have more room on my book haul for books that I'm going to buy, because I'm going to plan to go to some bookstores up in Chattanooga, like McKay's, before the convention, and at the convention, a lot of authors will have some for sale. So let's go through Baen's titles. They sent me a mass market paperback reprinting of Into the Vortex, which is a fantasy book by Charles E. Gannon. It's the second book in the Vortex of the World series, and this is a massive mass market paperback. It's like 800 pages. That's a bit longer than the average Baen book. Baen usually is in like the 300 to 450, 500 page range. Occasionally I've seen a few other titles go to 600 or 700, unless your name is David Weber, in which case he just goes to whatever the heck he wants to do with it. But this is a pretty beefy book, so interested in, and also a great cover. Who did the cover for this one? I'm going to look that up because it's also a pretty nice cover. Kurt Miller did this cover. Did a good job. Next, I was sent the Thermopylae Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. This is from the Gordian Division series that they kind of co-write together. Some of them are books that David and Jacob have written, like this, and then one or two of the books, it's just Jacob by himself writing the book. And I'm actually really interested in this series because when I interviewed David Weber at DragonCon last year, he basically pitched the idea for this series, and I was stunned by how great it was. It was a moving story that he told. And so I'm really interested in reading this series. I actually, funny enough, because of what Baen's been sending and stuff, I have books 1, 4, and 6 in this series. I do not have books 2, 3, and 5 yet. So I'll read book 1, and then I need to go find books 2, 3, and 5. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be at the convention, so I'll try to purchase them there. So they sent me the Thermopylae Protocol with a pretty good cover. Who did the cover there? Kurt Miller again. Kurt Miller turning in great covers. They also sent me reprints of On Basilisk Station by David Weber. This is the first Honor Harrington novel, and this is a trade paperback. I think they did this because they've done mass market printings and hardcover. I think they'd never done trade editions of this series, so that's why they did this month. And it looks quite good. The cover's quite good. Let me check again. I think I know who it is because I think it's the same cover artist that does all of the David Weber Honor Harrington novels. It is David Mattingly, and I was right. David Mattingly does, I think, all of them, and he does a great job with it. They also sent me the reprint of Lord of a Shattered Land by Howard Andrew Jones. This is the first book in the Hanuvar trilogy, or not trilogy, series. I think it's going to be like 5 or 6 books. I've actually read the first 2, and this is a reprinting. They came out in hardcover originally, now trade paperback. And Howard is a terrific author. I can vouch for this book already. Howard is, I think, one of the top fantasy authors out there right now, and he's got terrific skills. And he is writing fantasy in an old school way that is really refreshing. And this book also has cover art by my favorite cover artist, Dave Seeley, and it's really darn good cover art. So that is Lord of a Shattered Land. This is a nice trade paperback copy. They also sent me Tales of the United States Space Force, which, if you know me, I love my hard sci-fi. I love books about space exploration and what the next step is and what it would take to go places. And a Space Force is kind of pivotal in the next step of space exploration, I believe. And so this is quite interesting. I believe this is both short stories and articles about the potential Space Force. I think some of these are really old and some of them are new for this. So I'm really excited to get into this short story collection. This will probably be part of my YouTube Shorts series eventually. All right. I was also, for the month of June, this is the last of their June titles that are coming out in June. They sent me Sharon Lee and Steve Miller's Ribbon Dance, which is from the Liaden universe. Now, this is kind of a bittersweet thing because Steve Miller unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And he and his wife, Sharon Lee, have been writing the Liaden universe for years, for decades. They've been writing other novels together. I think that someone told me they've done 100 different titles together over the last several decades. And they just left an incredibly important impact, he did. And so I don't know if they have more books that he worked on. This is the first book of theirs to release after his death, although he wrote it beforehand. I don't know if there's more, or whether Sharon Lee's just going to write it by herself. Curious on how this is going to work, but still, this is kind of a bittersweet thing that they sent. I was also... All right, so now for the month of July, the books that they sent me that are being published in July, because remember I said that they sent me the July books with the June books, basically, because I think they're trying to get stuff ready for the convention. And the first book, the book I'm most excited about, is The Icarus Changeling by Timothy Zahn. If you have followed this channel at all, you know I'm a huge Timothy Zahn fan. I'm a big fan of this Icarus saga. I'm actually the one that broke the news that there would be more books in this series when Baen reached out to me to break the news. I love this, and this is a great series so far. I will be reading this in July. I might actually read it before July, but I'm very, very excited to get to it. It's right about the length as the other books. Again, another great Dave Seeley cover for this one, so I'm very excited to read this book. I also have another book that I actually do plan to read in the next month, and that is Rhymer Hood by Gregory Frost. I read the first book in this series, Rhymer. It's a Rhymer trilogy is what it's called. And the first book, Rhymer, I read it, I reviewed it on the channel, and I interviewed Gregory Frost last year. And he told me before they had even announced what the title of the second book was, he told me what the book was going to be about, and I was so giddy and excited when he told me. And this is, telling the story of Thomas the Rhymer, this time telling it as if he's Robin Hood. And so it's like Robin Hood fighting elves, evil elves. And I'm so excited to continue on in this universe because I thought the first book was so rich with ideas and such a unique and original story that I really enjoyed. And so very excited to get into Rhymer Hood in July. They also sent me some paperback reprintings. The mass market reprinting of For Love of Magic by Simon R. Green with a great cover. Let me see who did the cover for this one. I went too many pages over. Tom Kidd did the cover for this one. And I forgot to mention who did the cover on Rhymer Hood, which I also think is a pretty good cover. And it's Eric Williams did Rhymer Hood. But For Love of Magic by Simon R. Green. I've never read a Simon R. Green book. Where should I start with him, specifically with Baen books? So I'm interested in reading his work. They also sent me this one I'm excited about. They sent me the Ross 248 Project, edited by Les Johnson and Ken Roy. Loved Les Johnson. He was a delight to interview at DragonCon, and I read one of his novels, which was an absolute delight. He's finishing up Ben Bova's last Grand Tour novel. I'm so excited to read more books by him, and this is a book edited by them. It's about if we colonized a specific star, I believe. It's a science fiction short story collection. So that will be one of the ones on my list. I also was sent Monster Hunter Alpha, a trade paperback reprinting of the book by Larry Correia. I read the first book in this series, Monster Hunter International. Really, really enjoyed it, and actually do plan to read more of the series in August. So we'll see if I get to that. Finally, the last book I was sent, this is an interesting one because the cover, people who know me know I'm a bit of a prude, and so the fact that they sent this cover makes me uncomfortable. But this book is by Catherine Asaro, and it's titled The Down Deep. And maybe it won't come across in the picture. I'm even considering blurring out part of the cover, but it's showing some stuff. I know why cover artists do this, and I know that some artists actually love this type of thing. Me, I'm uncomfortable. Why do you put that on your books? Anyway, so those are all the 21 books that I either purchased or was sent. I didn't buy many this month, but the ones I did buy, I bought a lot of new books, which is surprising for me. So I still spent a lot of money in my wallet. And next month, July, I'm going to have so many books on my July book haul because of all the books I'm going to buy at the store and at LibertyCon. And I will have have either a video or videos with breakdown of stuff from LibertyCon. So, if you've read any of these books or intend to read any of them, or have just read books by these authors, let me know which you liked and didn't like, what you're interested in reading, what you bought in June, and what you intend to buy soon. Let me know all those thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.